Now let's take a look at how we can customize our interface in Topogun before we get started. So here is our sort of default interface. Let's say that for some reason we'd rather have some buttons over here on the left-hand side. Okay, so what we can do is just hold down Control, and you can see as I get close to the edge of our viewport, it turns red. It gives you these little red dots all the way around. And so what I can do is just actually click and drag this over, and now I have an area over here in which I can add buttons if I like. Okay, so I can move buttons around. Let's say I want to have some of these buttons from this side over here onto this side, so I can hold down Control again, click and drag this over and put it in a position. Control, click and drag. Do the same thing here. So really easy to move bits of your interface around. So now I can put these buttons over here on this side. If I want to rearrange these, I can Control drag them up, and now I've got buttons on both sides that I'm able to access. Now if I want to add a new command as a button, one of the ways I can do this is, let's say that I just want to go ahead and add Select None as a button. So I'll just hit Select None, and then I'll Control click, and it'll give me this option for button last command. I'll go ahead and hit that, and you can see it gives me this Select None button, which I can punch here. Now I want to hold down Control and move it into position so it's in the correct spot here. If I want to move these over a bit, want to maximize my space, I can sort of move these, and again Control, and I can size the viewport accordingly. So if I want to move things around from the bottom to the top, and top to the bottom, left to right, it's very easy to do. You're just holding down Control and doing it that way. Okay, and then you can also come in here, Control, right click, you can stick it to the left, stick it to the right. Okay, you can hide it. Okay, and so if at any time you want to save your interface, you can go to Edit, Save UI, or if you want to reset it to original interface, you can hit Reset. Okay, it's going to ask you to please restart Topogun for that to take effect. Okay, now the keyboard shortcuts you can access through Edit, and there are two different kinds of shortcuts. So we'll look at keyboard shortcuts, which are kind of the global shortcuts, and you can come in here, and as we select each of these commands, you can see that shortcut here. It'll allow us to assign a new shortcut to any of those. If it's empty, you can add a shortcut. Okay, now there's also shortcuts based on the tools. So tool keyboard shortcuts, these depend on what tool is actually selected. So right now you can see we're viewing the shortcuts for Simple Edit. So all of these have to do with what's going to happen when we hit this button and we're using the Simple Edit tool. Okay, if I change to Simple Create, there's only a couple. Okay, this is what's going to happen when we're using Simple Create. And so these are all specific to a particular tool. So if you're looking for a shortcut, it can either be a global shortcut based on your, everything in your scene, or it can be based on a specific tool, and those can be found in your tools keyboard shortcuts, and those can be changed and assigned in just the same way. Okay, and so just remember, you can access your shortcuts there. You can also create buttons for your commands. Put those anywhere you like. Using Control, you can resize and move around your viewport, and then you have an area around that where you can add those buttons as shortcuts if you want to kind of rearrange your interface more to your liking. Okay, so now that we've got the interface out of the way, we've looked at some ways of customizing the interface. Let's go ahead and in the next lesson start to actually work with some files here. So we'll go ahead and start to look at reference geometry, reference textures, scene files, and so forth. We'll go ahead and do that in the next lesson.